Dr. Farrell Jr. raised him. Miss Lucille that I used to love to talk to, because see, her daddy was the doctor in the Civil War, buried right here. She lived till 77.
Okay.
He had 2 sets of kids. He's buried by both wives, and between them, they were sisters. And he had quite a many kids by both of them. That's his last wife, Miss Lucille, and his mother. Died in 1920. You can see that star. That's the Eastern Star. Those are I don't know of any of the Farrells that didn't belong to the Masons and the Eastern Star. Miss Lucille never married, but she never tired of telling stuff. When you'd ask her, she would tell you stories. And this is Dr. Farrell. See on the bottom there. Surgeon, 34th Mississippi CSA. Died in 1910. You'll see the Masonic on it too. This is his first wife. They were Dr. Ayers' daughters. Fell tombstone. And that tombstone has been fixed in recent years, and I guess it just didn't hold. This is Dr. Frank Jr., who delivered my mother and her brothers. He was the son of the doctor too. And this is Seth Farrell. This is another one of the kids that never did marry. He was a bank president of some kind in in Texas, and was brought back here and buried these in World War I. That's his other one down there. I never do remember being around him because he didn't live here.
Right.
And that's Uncle Mary and Aunt Lily. See, she was on kin to him through her. And I knew him the best and her. And he died the same year Miss Lucille did, his sister. And that's their only child. Their daughter married my cousin Neil Stroop on Daddy's side. I used to help them do all kinds of estate sales and stuff.
What's that Confederate one right there behind?
Well,
right there on the road, right
that's
there.
Brian's. That's Miss May McKenzie. She was Governor Matthews' granddaughter. That's her granddaddy on her mama's side, A.M. Brian's.
I remember hearing about Governor Matthews.
Oh, he had a lot of land. He's buried out here, you know.
No, I didn't know that.
Matthews Cemetery right out there, about 3 miles.
Okay.
Got their own cemetery. We had a big ceremony when they redone it in 1990. He's got a tombstone, huge tombstone. Didn't have one at all till 1919. Civil War come, he died during it, didn't have nothing. 28 Mississippi Regiment. I'm not familiar with that, are you?
I thought that said 23rd from back there where I was standing.
There. Them Cottrells is in it. Right there. Miss Nettie Cottrell. I remember her found to be her brother. I mean her daddy.
Company A, 18th Mississippi
18th
Cavalry.
Mississippi Cavalry I know plenty about. Was in that raid of force on Memphis, I think. 18th Mississippi Cavalry was made up mostly of men from Ashland north, and some of them from Hardeman County. But I've got some muster roll in it down there in the Smith family history book. The 18th Mississippi Company's commander was killed on our farm down there in May of 1863 by the 2nd Iowa Infantry. And they come down there and interviewed me and made a bunch of pictures when they did their family book, which they're in that book. They knew he was killed on Yellow Rabbit Creek, but didn't have nowhere. That's Jim Daniel who I'm talking about, folks.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
He was
at our meeting.
Leader of that 18th Mississippi. I remember this man's daughter so well right here. So she lived to be close to 100. That's his daughter.
Died in 84.
And he lived till 1928.
Well, she is, what, 97? Almost 97?
Miss Maddie. People used to, she had a boarding house at one time or something. I don't remember it, but I've heard them talk about it. And there's many more Confederates here, but a lot of them marked with regular markers, you know.
Right. They're easy to spot with those new markers.
There's some more over there. It's got Confederate markers, but that Winburn right there was shot at Perryville pretty bad, and he's come back and was first sheriff when they made Benton County for about 20 years. But anyway, I just want to show you where Uncle Oates and was buried in Farrell.
Yeah, I never had been to this cemetery.
The McDonald's right out there. If you remember, I don't know if you read all that 34th Mississippi book or not. Big 2-story house standing in them trees right out there. You can't see it from the road. Nobody lived in it that I can remember. A tree fell on one end of it last fall and hurt it. Till then, it was perfect. But it's still in pretty good shape. Lieutenant Arnold McDonald built that house, and when he left his wife and 5 kids, he got shot through both eyes at the Battle of Perryville and killed. And it's still up there, but she's buried right there with his name on it as her husband. She lived till 1910. And there's children all right out there. And she did well. She kept that farm during them Reconstruction years and run it, and them kids helped her, and all of them some of them made lawyers, judges. She was a smart woman. And there's 2 boards I want out of that house right now. I wouldn't knew they was up there except for the 1936 interview that was saved. There's 2 planks up there behind her. You can walk up the stairs, sound. 2 big wide boards, sort of like you're talking about them you saw, that's got the grease stains all down through them where Miss McDonald hid the meat from the Yankees. At that time, they had like a sliding wall, and it said none of it was ever found. So she done a pretty good job. I want them boards to display in this museum up here with an explanation of what them stains is on a grease stain.
What's the who's got the house now?
It belongs to the Bright estate. Edward Bright died at a few years ago at New Albany, and we've been in touch with his son Roy, that lives down there, and we're trying to get those boards out of there. And that tree fell, really hurt them side lights and all. Everything in it was original, even the plastered walls. To 1850. It was changed very little. You can see where they built one new chimney, and that's about the only thing I can see that had been changed. That family kept it till about 1940, and Mr. Beer and Bright bought it, but he didn't live in it. He had this big garage and all, and that store up here on the square, his house, but that's still standing.
What's that? What is that building over there?
There?
Is that a school or something?
That's the high school.
Okay.
And
thought it looked like a school.
Middle school.
That must be the gym.
Where?
Right here.
Yeah, that is. The old gym was right trying to look like an army bunker.
Yeah.
And it was. It was an old army bunker. It took down, moved here after the war, got it some way from a training place. And that's the high school's the same. When I went to school, that was the agriculture building. It's painted yellow. And see that other building right there? It was there. That's the lunchroom.
That little gray building behind the stop sign?
One with a gray top on that brick building right there.
Oh, that red brick?
That's the lunchroom.
Okay.
And that's the new elementary school. The big old one that was built in 1916 or 17 burned 20 years ago. And they put that back for the middle school. It used to be elementary.
There's a tombstone right there. It's fell missing.
Oh yeah, there's a good many of them missing here.
Wonder what happened to that.
Ain't no telling.
Well,
looks like the town would have it.
Maybe.
Right here's one of them McDonald's. He never did remember his daddy because he got killed at Perryville. So he was born in 1862, same year.
Yeah.
He got killed, his daddy got killed the 6th of October of 62. So I mean, he must probably born after his daddy died. The 23rd left here March or April of 62. So that man wasn't here after that. Unless they come back on the leave, which is real doubtful then, that quick, you know. There's none of that family left to talk to now that I know of, even grandchildren. Some of them left, but they don't live here, is what I mean.
Right. All right, well, I guess we better